Success isn't a highway, and the reason it's a narrow road is exactly some of the things you just said. It's early mornings, hard conversations, delayed gratification. It's saying no when everyone else says yes. It's doing what's right when no one's watching. If the road you're on feels crowded, you might not be on the road to success.
All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be when you're tuning in to watch this or listen to this. If this is your first time here, this is the best damn podcast that you've ever seen before in your life. We are known as Old Guys Still Rock, or better yet, OGSR. Today, we're going to be hitting episode number 142. Yes, 142. There's not many podcasts that can say that. So if you really want to know who we are, go back and watch the other 141 other episodes. Some really good ones over the last couple of weeks, months, and even year. But anyway, I'm Blair Armstrong of Team Armstrong Coldwell Banker, a global luxury specialist in the world of residential real estate, located in the beautiful, beautiful Coachella Valley, which is basically Palm Springs, Palm Desert, La Quinta, Indio, home of the world famous Stagecoach, Coachella Music Festival. The list goes on. It's awesome. We've been having, it's really weird the other day. I'm going to open this. We had a lot of squiggly lines up in the sky today. And the last 2 days, we've been having 40 and 50 mile an hour winds and rain. So I don't know what's going on here, but it is what it is. So on my left, possibly your right, is a good friend of mine and the other host of our show, Brent Wright of Brent Wright Incorporated. He's located, and I actually heard this, in beautiful Eugene, Oregon, which I heard that it might snow.
Yeah, so I just looked at the weather report, and kind of that band along I-5 is the only thing that's not pink. Everything around us is going to get a massive amount of snow. We're supposed to have snow on the valley floor, like trace snow, but it is pretty dark outside, and it's a balmy 37 degrees this morning. So,
oh man.
They say it's got to get warmer before it snows, right? And so we were 30, 31 last night, too cold to snow. And so here we are.
Weird.
We're just waiting.
Too cold to snow. So anyway, who's Brent Wright? Brent Wright Incorporated. He's, as I said, he's a man with many different hats, payroll companies to body shops to detail shops, multiple property owner, a landlord. He actually is just about to start his property management company. He also is the financier of his wife's company, which is super, super awesome. So if you're in the Eugene area, check out Wright Wellness Center. It is a state-of-the-art wellness center, and it's just something that you most likely have never been to. So again, if you're in the Eugene area, check out Wright Wellness Center. Strongly encourage you to do that. He also is in a venture capitalist group, and they bought a company just a little bit ago called BustedTees.com. Hopefully we have an update of what the numbers look like on that, because that's usually what we hit you with. And then most important, I think that's why we're in episode at number 142 of this podcast. Phenomenal business coach, phenomenal personal coach. And that's why I said at the beginning of this, if you haven't done so yet, go check out the other 141 episodes on there and see if he is a fit for you. But to kind of get into all this, man, how the hell are you? I know that, as you just said, the weather's going on. What's going on with BustedTees.com?
So Busted Tees, we've hit 109,804 followers on our socials. Remember last week's goal, we were trying to get over 100,000. We had a contest. And they killed our Death Star Digest page, which had hundreds of millions of views.
Right.
And so currently that was the number I gave you for last week. Currently we're at 113,000 followers. We had 581 million views in the last 90 days. In the last 7 days, we've added 61 million views in the last 7 days, 14,000 followers in the last 7 days, and 23.1 million likes, 76 0.5 thousand comments and 1.7 million saves. And so right now we've also had 632,000 reposts. And so right now, just so everybody's aware, e-commerce, this is the time of year that we are slowing down. And so we've really ramped up our focus on becoming more outwardly aware to this genre that we're marketing to. And so Busted Tees is holding our own. We're not making hundreds of millions of dollars yet, but we are holding our own. I'm really happy to say that we're holding our own. We're maintaining a status quo, is to kind of get us into our subject today, which is success is a narrow road. So success isn't crowded, and this e-commerce space is crowded. It's crowded with a lot of people. And so, we're trying to separate ourselves from the crowd, if you will.
You said something too. I don't want to go back to before we get too much in this, but you said something. So you were pedal to the metal. Things were rolling for you for bustedtees.com, especially with social media. You're getting a ton of exposure. You guys are putting in a lot of time to get that up and running, really build this page. It was kind of an iconic movement, if you will.
Yeah.
Because of the genre. I mean, that the Death Star really had a lot of Star Wars stuff. The memes behind it was really cool and funny, and it was awesome. And somehow it ruffled somebody's feathers.
Yep. One person made a complaint. One person made a complaint.
And it changed everything.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we're talking about the success for a narrow road, and I may have the cart in front of the horses, how easy where it is to say, like, you know what?
We're done.
We're done. Let's pack it in. One person, I'm just not going to deal with this. I'm moving on. And so many people, going back to what our subject today is success is a narrow road. It's hard to stay on that road when you have detours.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's just so easy just to kind of like, oh my gosh, I don't need to deal with this, especially because we could look at you. As I said in the beginning of this episode, for our first timers here, you're a man with many different hats. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, you don't really need this, but you understand that success is a constant
evolution.
There's never really a complete win, I guess you could say. There's championships along the way, right?
Well, it's job not done. We've talked about this several times. It's if I got up every morning and felt like things were simple and easy and I could just sit back, what would that message say to my kids? What would that message say to my wife? What would that message say to everybody that knows me? What would that message say to my employees? What would that message say to my customers?
Better yet, what does that message say to you?
Exactly.
And I think that's, the most important, as we do worry about what other people are thinking about a lot too. And I do too. I think everybody can look at the mirror and say, yeah, I really care. I want to perform. I want to have that level. I want people to look at me like I'm a successful person. But when it chips down, what does success mean? What does it look like to you? What does it mean for you? And I think that's where the root of this topic starts with, and why it's such a narrow road. Because you're the road, right? I mean,
yep, 100%.
You're the driver. You're the driver.
Mm-hmm. And I may be the pothole in the road too.
Yeah.
Right. So I've got to identify that. So before I trigger you, because we talked about me triggering you today.
It's gonna be fun, boys.
The kind of the theme and the statement, we said success isn't crowded. The road's narrow because it requires choices most people won't make, discipline most won't sustain, and responsibility most try to avoid. Now, we're in month 2, coming down to the end of month 2 in the new year, where everybody had goals and had all these things, and I'm going to new year, new me, all of this stuff. And so this is where the rubber meets the road, literally. In this episode, we're going to explore why success feels lonely, and we'll talk about more of that when I trigger you here in a minute. Costly, uncomfortable, and it's why it's actually proof that you're on the right path. So with that, tell me how you're feeling lately.
Yeah,
Yesterday, your text was like, "I'm done.
yeah,
I'm out
I'm
of
just,
bullets."
I'm mentally tired right now, and it's getting me to a place that I'm fighting to get out of. Had a lot of we're in a transaction that has been a roller coaster, a circus. I keep waiting for 15 clowns to get out of a car and drive it around.
It's
Some
so.
amazing
Are you
people.
driving that car? Are you driving the clown car?
I've lost complete control of the car.
Mm.
Usually I'm good at I'm actually really good at the point where people are stuck in decisions and helping them through that and painting pictures and stuff like this. This one has been, we're all in to, we're all out. Well, then we're kind of back in. Let me think about it to, well, we need to do this to, and all with good intentions, super smart business decisions. But it just, the the over analytical part of this decision is actually the ripple effect on it's so big, but at the end of the day is what we're trying, the hurdle that we're trying to help this decision maker with is that the amount of time that you're spending on the decision, showing them numbers, have reached out to people that it's an investment property, showed the numbers, have got some really great things done. It's a unicorn property. We could have 1,000 of these. I could quit selling real estate. I'll just put it to that way. It's an epic property. It's being over analyzed, and the even though that you have to make smart business decisions, it's so far down the road that we haven't even got to start. And we're, then I'm talking with the other agents that's involved, like, what happened? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. We were super excited. We had all this stuff planned and we were drawing plans for different things with expansions and doing some different things. And all of a sudden one day, like, yeah, we're out. And it's just been challenging. So the reason why it's so mentally draining is I'm going through my head. Did I say something wrong? What am I not explaining the right way? I am asking clarifying questions or qualifying and clarifying questions. Are you understanding where we're going with there? Yes, that totally makes sense. Thank you for explaining to it. That helps our decisions so much better. We're totally comfortable now to like, oh, I don't know if I can do it. So then you start questioning the client. Do they bite off more than they can chew, even though they led us to this path that this is where we want to be? And so I start questioning my ability as kind of not really a mediator. I'm more of a counselor to ask the questions that they may be stuck on, what you talked about, being stuck in a loop, right? We talked about that a couple of weeks ago, being stuck in
Mm-hmm.
a loop and and trying to open that up. And it's failing. And I'm questioning my ability that, God, maybe I'm just not that good. And when I say that in my head, and maybe this sounds this way to our listeners and to our people that are viewing this, I'm not trying to sell a car. I am assisting in a decision making process that is a big decision process. This is not an inexpensive property,
Well, it's a
but
life changing
it's a life
choice.
choice. Yeah. And I'm typically really, really good at this. And so getting my booty kicked mentally, like this morning, I woke up, I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. And it's not that I wanted to burn down the bridge. It's like, I just need a time out. It's affecting my relationship with my wife. I'm super short. I'm finding myself getting super triggered because I'm frustrated and it's more so, and we've talked about this in the past, it's more so I'm frustrated in myself that I am having a hard time of getting this to move forward. And I'm knowing how good I am, again, with almost $100 million of sold real estate, knowing how good I am, having this makes me question the imposter syndrome that we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'm just not that good anymore. Maybe, have I been doing the right things? And you start questioning, like, how did I get to this point? So that's why I'm just like today, dude, that alarm went off at 3:30 in the morning and I did not get out of bed till 5 a.m. And I fought getting out of bed to the point where I was driving myself crazy, laying in bed. It's dark. It was 45 degrees this morning. It was cold. And I'm like, I got to get out of here. So I'm a desert rat. So I understand that 55 may be warm for other people in this world, 45 degrees. So I bundled up and I went on an hour walk, and it made me feel a lot better. I took an Alp. That typically helps a little bit too.
Mm-hmm.
So, dude, it's just, and I think that's why, success is such a narrow road. Is like at the beginning of last week, we were closing on one. We're actually closing on one as we speak. I'm getting blown up by escrow right now that we're closing, that's awesome. So I'm super excited for my new owners of that property. We have 3 or 4 other buyers right now that are in the mix. And I'm like, oh man, this is it. Here we go. It was a long 2 years in real estate, some good wins and some just hard roads. But this little one is like setting me back. I'm like, oh my God, am I going to go back? Am I going to go back to, is this going to be a repeat of last year, which wasn't our worst year ever, but it wasn't our best year ever either. And so I just start questioning stuff. And that's why I said is mentally success is such a narrow road. You have 1 win and you have 2 wins and you have 3 wins and you're like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. And then all of a sudden you have this little hurdle and it really just screws with my psyche. I don't know about our listeners or you or the people that are watching this. It just brings out this bitch voice and I'm having a hard time fighting it right now. I'm just, again, I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, so I'm going to summarize what you said. Success isn't a highway, and the reason it's a narrow road is exactly some of the things you just said. It's early mornings, hard conversations, delayed gratification. It's saying no when everyone else says yes. It's doing what's right when no one's watching. If the road you're on feels crowded, you might not be on the road to success.
I don't know if it's
because you feel alone. We talked about this before. It's alone at the top. That was one of our first 20 episodes. It's lonely at the top. And the reason why it's lonely is because nobody else is willing to persevere and do the things that you are having to do. So they didn't sleep until 5. They slept until 9.
Yeah. And you said something too about, success. I have to prove my success to my kids. I think this is the hard part. You said this too in the beginning, is that I feel like I'm failing. And I hate that. I hate losing no matter what I do.
Nobody likes it.
Nobody likes it, but dude, I hate it.
But it's necessary.
The
right. Pain is necessary for growth.
Yeah. And I don't care if it's with sports or board games. I just do not I'm better at it. I'm not throwing tantrums anymore. But
so speaking of board games, went to Bunko last week. Never been to Bunko before. We did it with our church family. Put me really outside my comfort zone, quite frankly. I don't lose well either. And I win like a hero, which is separating. I don't know if you've been in a room full of people and you're the only one that wins. Yeah. And then when you celebrate it, nobody else is celebrating with you, right?
Right.
They're just like, hey, that guy's kind of over the top, a little bit of ego there, right? Yeah. So that's me. And so I told my wife, I said, here's why I'm going. I don't like games. I suck at them. Not that I suck at doing them and doing them well. I'm a sore loser and an over gregarious winner. And so when you're with your church family, you got to temper those feelings, right? These people, they're all trying to do better and they're all trying to win and they're all trying to grow as well. And so I'm not tempering it for just my church family. I would temper this in most groups, most social settings. I would temper the way that I feel. Tim Grover talks about this. You must lose so you understand what a win feels like. And so I go into Bunko, never playing it, never knowing the rules, didn't Google it purposefully, didn't go on to chat and learn how to win and all those things. I went in, open mind, open book, and just wanted to experience the experience. And here's the message that I got during that. I actually did win. I won something. I got.
What was your prize, dude? Because they always have prizes.
So this is the prize. So the biggest prize was winning gracefully. Mm-hmm. Another prize was losing gracefully and learning about something that I was really, really uncomfortable about and being grateful and surrendering to the process. The surrendering of the process is the narrow road. And what I won was I've been getting a download lately that I need to start journaling. You've tried to talk me into it. We talk about it on here. It's very important to journal for many, many reasons. And I won a journal.
No way.
Yes, 100%. And
That's
so
awesome.
I set up some triggers yesterday for my journaling. And so I've done some preparation. And this weekend, I'm only going to journal once a week.
Mhm.
I'm going to do it in my quiet time on Saturday mornings or Sunday mornings. I usually get up before everybody else and I have a little bit of quiet time. And that's when I'm going to journal. And so I set up some triggers. But clearly, the win here isn't just winning the game. The narrow road portion of this is that I learned something I didn't know. I grew in that process. I got 4 bunkos. If you've ever played this, you guys know what I'm saying. 4 bunkos is a lot.
It's a lot.
So a bunko
You're the
is
a-hole and you're never getting invited back.
nah. I
I'm kidding you.
Yeah, I did pretty good. I did pretty good. So the 4 bunkos. So a bunko is getting all of the same number on the dice in a roll. So if you're in sixes, you would get 5 6s. That's a bunko. And you yell it out, and then you take this little ball. We actually had a red and white dice, a big dice, fluffy dice, and you chuck it at the next person who gets a bunko. And I was able to chuck that. Thank you, sweetie.
Hi, April. She can't hear me.
She can't hear you, but I got my tea. That is a great servant mindset right there. She asks me every day about my tea, and
Man,
it's always the perfect temperature. She knows me so well.
oh,
Does a
that's
great
awesome.
job. I'm grateful, superly grateful for her and what she does to serve our family and her clients. There's nobody that cares more than my wife. She will
Oh.
she will go above and beyond. So
I'm going to remind me to come back to that, but I want you to finish the story.
yeah. And so in that, we talked about that whatever success is, it's early mornings. So that morning I actually got up and I had to have a little talk with myself. I had to have hard conversations. I was 12 hours from any gratification of winning or losing or whatever that looked like. In this situation, I had to say yes a lot of times when I wanted to say no. And I did get feedback from my wife, which is super important to me. I am the fearless leader of our family, but she is my sounding board and she keeps me headed down the narrow road every day. So, where this subject came from that I brought up to you was for the last 2 weeks, instead of waking up and feeling depressed, debilitated about my list of all the things I have to do today and what could go wrong and all those things, I've been waking up to this song in my head by Cody Carnes, and it's The Narrow Road. And it's the songs playing in my head almost every morning. I would tell you out of the last 2 weeks, out of the last 14 days, 10 days, I've been waking up to this song in my head. And it's been impactful to me. It's been impactful to my family. It's been impactful to my employees, impactful to my customers. It's changed my mindset. And I don't feel as alone when this song's playing in my head. It's just changed the course and the trajectory of my day and my weeks.
That was a powerful statement that you just said there, and I hope that you guys go back and really do that. That we are chasing perfection and settling on excellence, and it's lonely, and it's a mental loneliness. And you and I have talked about this a lot, but realistically, if we just stop, like, are we really by ourselves? And the only way that we can really be by ourselves in that moment is because we're shutting the people out that care about us, especially God. A lot of times, like, where are you? You said you're going to be here with me, blah, blah, blah. Where are you? I'm here on this island all by myself and I don't like it. But are we really alone? Or are we creating that loneliness in our mind?
Of course.
And so, and I think
You
that's
have
where
to. You
you
have
have
to.
to, right?
You must.
It's a mental, it is, yes, it is a must. And you have to mentally stay there, but understanding that there are people, your Aprils, my Chrissies, your kids, my kids, grandkids, you know, our circle of, our circle of
Of it.
really good friends,
Circle of
right?
influence,
Yeah, that's
essentially.
right. Friends and influences on there. And I think that's, and maybe I'm wrong. And you guys who are watching and listening to this, you can go ahead and comment on this. Is like, do you lose focus on what you really have? Yes, it's lonely. Yes, you're the only one going through this. Yes, no one's going to truly understand what's going into your spot. Are you truly alone? And I think that's what it's into me right now. Is like, God dang it, man. What do I have to do to get out of this? But in the same breath, Brent, I'm in the same sense. I'm like, God, thank you for putting me in this. I am starting to have conversations. You've been doing this, you know, you've been coaching, you're doing a great job of doing that, helping people out of their ruts and stuff like that. But I'm now finding myself in conversations, and the wisdom that's coming from me, it's God given wisdom. It's something that he's constantly putting me in the fire and refining me and doing all these things. And I'm grateful for that. I don't like it, but I'm grateful for that, if that makes sense. And now when people are asking me questions, I'm giving them wisdom like, yeah, you're right. I'm like, okay, so maybe I'm not alone. Maybe this loneliness is there's a bigger purpose to this. We talked about this really, and now I'm starting to think about our conversation that we had with Caitlin on episode number 140. You know, the transition, you're like scared to death to go through refinement again. And that's where that narrow road, we can choose to put a dead end to that road, or do we just keep going down that narrow road, understanding that there's going to be many different off ramps that we can choose to get off and just quit, or just keep going on it. And you may be the only person, car, bicycle, whatever that may be, just to keep going, keep going, keep going, and have those, and knowing that there's people still that are a lifeline to you. Maybe I'm not making sense. I'm just trying to.
You're making sense. So in essence, what we're summarizing here, guys, is success requires saying no to comfort, distraction, excuses, shortcuts. And the narrow road generally means fewer late nights having fun. My notes say partying, but I'm not a party animal, never have been. You know, whenever you've invited me to parties, I peace out at 10 o'clock, turn into a pumpkin. You know,
I'm that guy now, which is so weird. It's so funny that you say that. I'm that guy. 9 o'clock, we're done.
But really, it means more early mornings working, whether that's working on you or actually working on your work. I would tell you that you need to work on you more in the early mornings. I think clarity comes in that. We talked about, I'm going to start journaling early mornings. I think that's going to be the magic for me. But really, the narrow road is, and this is where the struggle comes in. We talked about the loneliness. It's because fewer people are clapping for you and more people are doubting you. The narrow road isn't narrow because opportunity is rare. It's narrow because commitment is rare.
Are people really doubting us, or is that a mental thing as well?
Both.
I feel like people are doubting us.
Both.
Because if you start doubting yourself, you're like, well, God, everyone probably thinks that I'm just not that good. Or if someone else is winning more, if your perception is someone's winning more than you, and you start doubting yourself, and you think, well, maybe those people just don't think I'm that great, and that's why they went with them instead of me.
So I go through this decision-making process on everything. I have it written down on my wall to remind me every time I have to make a decision. Number 1, does this serve me? Number 2, is this reasonable? Number 3, does this get me to my outcome? And number 4, is this consistent with my values and standards? So in that, when I am feeling lonely, when that little, I've said this before in the cartoon, the angel and the devil on your shoulders, you know what I mean? And so I just feed the angel, if you will, those prompts. And that usually will squelch the devil's loudness, because the angel's logical and has feeling, and the devil is doubting you and feeding you these negative things. And again, I don't want to call it depression, but a lot of people would, prior to the last 2 weeks of waking up with this Cody Carnes song in my head, before that, I would wake up and that devil was loud and he was pushing an agenda that was hard to ignore. And so that's the uncomfortable part.
Yeah.
Is that hard to ignore voice in your head?
Yeah. I don't think there's one person who can say that they don't. I mean, that's a great analogy that you have that, it's the devil trying to tell you that you ain't that good, bro. Regardless of how good you are, you ain't that good. And that's when that self-doubt comes in. And that's when that road, there's no lights on the highway.
Mm-hmm.
It's dark. You can't see. And the past starts resurfacing in a bad way. And the past is it. I mean, I heard an analogy the other day, every situation, you write it down on a dry erase board and you get the lessons out of that dry erase board. You wrote them all down, right? Like you have that little thing on there. So I can write that on dry erase board and I can answer all those questions. And the next time you ask yourself, you basically have to, wipe the whiteboard clean and write those questions down because it's a whole different situation. Even though that's similar, it's just a whole different situation. What happened in the past, that whiteboard is wiped clean and we have to, this is a new journey, a new page, a new chapter.
I would say write the problem down on the whiteboard and then use that decision-making process that I gave you. Because that's going to clarify a ton of stuff right there. If you're not using some sort of format, then that devil voice is going to be really, really loud. You've got to use logic. You've got to use facts and figures. And you must work on all of these things that I'm going to give you because success changes when you implement these things. If you implement changing your habits, sometimes changing your circle, your conversations, your internal and external conversations, and then you must change your tolerance for drama, whether that's external or internal, right? So in your situation with this deal that's going down, you need to change your tolerance for drama. You need to use that decision-making process. So let's just analyze that. Does this deal serve me? Yes. Does it serve others? Yes. Is this deal reasonable? Yes. Does this deal get me to my outcome? For sure. Monetarily and success driven, right? And does it get them to their outcome? Yes. And so you might even use that in your talking points with these people. Get them to use this decision-making process. Is this consistent with my values and standards? For sure, because I know I'm doing the right thing for these people. And so that narrative, that decision-making process will help squelch any doubt that you have in your head. So tomorrow, when you get up at 3:30, when the alarm goes off, and you ask yourself, I want to stay in bed. I think I'm going to stay in bed. Should I stay in bed? Use that decision-making process to make that decision whether you stay in bed or not.
Yeah, that's really good, man. That's really good.
Does staying in bed serve me?
No.
Is it reasonable? Does it get me to my outcome? Is it consistent with my values and standards?
Absolutely not.
I get up.
Yeah.
We talked about this pre-show. They say that the thing that you don't want to do is the thing you should do. If you don't feel like working out, you should work out. If you don't feel like getting up, you should get up. Even if it is to take that walk. Could you imagine the difference in your day if you would have got up at 3:30 and went and took that walk?
Yeah, I think, and that's where the wisdom from the past has come to the future because I knew deep in my soul that if I stayed there and used that as an excuse just to kind of chill and just kind of, okay, well, I'll get up and still do my devotionals, have my coffee, but whatever, or I'll just wait to the last minute and come in and do this podcast and it'll just kind of float through the day. That's not solving anything. It's actually a retraction in my perseverance to get through to the level of success I want to go to. And it's not just for today, it's for days, weeks, months, years moving forward.
Well, this is where the magic happens, where the rubber meets the road. The road isn't hard at the start, it's hard in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
I was telling a story to one of my employees today about how I got started in one of my businesses, and everything was against me. Literally everything. April and I had just lost our first baby. She had to have a medical procedure to remove that baby. We took a small little mini vacation and went over to the Salishan on the coast, and I got the call from the realtor that said they accepted my proposal and were going to allow me to get a new building. I was going from 1,000 square feet to 9,000 square feet. And then I called the guy that was going to sell me all the equipment to fill that building. And I told him, I'm ready to order. And this is the scary part. All the while being debilitated by the loss of this baby and committing to over $500,000 worth of equipment, all the while knowing I don't have the money in the bank to support that purchase. You have to make decisions in that decision-making process. And was that easy? No. But was it easier then than it is today? So today, different set of problems. Economy's down. The insurance company is horrible to deal with. We're struggling to get employees. We're struggling to keep employees. We're struggling to get jobs in and out of the door and to provide cash flow so that way we can pay our bills and all those things. We're 16 years in from the time I made that decision to start this business. It was hard then, but I can look back and tell you that it's harder today than it was then to make that decision. I had nothing to lose at the beginning and everything to gain. And today I have a lot to lose and I can't see the gain. So that's why it's not hard at the start, because what do you got to lose? Nothing. You start, you lose, who cares?
Because it's zero expectations.
Right. But 16 years in,
there's a lot of expectations.
A lot of expectations and
a lot of goals,
a lot to lose.
Yeah.
A lot to lose. When you're responsible for 20 people's families and lives, that becomes a lot harder to make decisions. And sometimes the narrow road means outgrowing friendships, making unpopular business decisions like we just talked about, and setting boundaries with people.
Yeah. We've been talking a lot about business on this and stuff like this, but what a great personal anecdote right there, right? You do have seasons of friendships that we've talked about in the past, and the road seems to get a lot more narrow. Actually, I was talking to a potential client yesterday, older gentleman, very seasoned, actually lives in the Eugene area. He's going to look you up.
Cool.
You guys have some commonalities. So anyway, and he goes, the older I get, I find my relationships are less, but more gratifying.
More fruitful, for sure.
More fruitful.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of cool too, because the first time I met him, it was kind of just very short conversation. Yes, no, blah, blah, blah. We're going in to look at this property. And we had a couple of minutes before we had to go inside. And I was kind of giving this ambiance of, okay, Frank Sinatra's lived here. We had this, this. And he goes, I just don't care. I don't care about that stuff. And I'm like, that's awesome. I'm glad you told me that, because some people, they love a story. Because, I've lived long enough to know that what things are important, what things are not important. In this Hollywood world and movie stars and really cool stories, I just don't care. I want to have conversation. And he goes, it got down to something. And I said, that's so funny, because I have a podcast that my friend and I talk about. And we talk about this a lot, that we've lost the art of communication. And the road of our friendships have gotten so small, and our circle has gotten so tight, that there's times that there's a little FOMO because you're not invited anymore. In the same sense, you're like, it's so gratifying knowing that when I do go out with my circle, or I'm on the road with my friends and my family and my loved ones, that it's just so much more meaningful. It was just so refreshing to know, it was just kind of I can't find the right word for it. It was just great knowing that, okay, I'm not the only one that thinks this. And I've been having a lot of conversations with Chrissy. Again, we live in this bubble world, and everyone's just kind of, it's a free for all sometimes. And I'm like, we're in this transition of like, we're going to be investing more to the people that invest in us, and then harder, and we're going to invest hard. we're not going to lose that. And the people that want to be with us will be with us. And the people that don't want to invest and carry those standards, even though they, because they disagree with our standards, we're okay with that. And we're making decisions. She just called me today. Do you want to be in this tournament, or do you want to golf with these people? And I said, I'd rather go golf with those people. There always will be another tournament, but there are not many days left with these people. And I know that we're going to get brushback on that. What do you mean you're not going to be in it? Because it's a big club event. Because it just doesn't, it's nothing against the people that we would probably see during the event, but it's very topical. And I'm getting more and more embedded into intimacy with those relationships. I want to know what's here, right? I want to know what's in the heart. And I want to know what's really hurting you or what's really making you happy. And I can't do that with 200 people.
Well, it goes back to my word of the year, which is alignment. So when you get on the narrow road, you don't change, you align. And people might interpret your discipline or your changes as pride, right? We've talked about that before. Distance, obsession. And you always hear these two words, quote unquote, you've changed.
Did I tell you this last week? So, and maybe I didn't. If I'm repeating this on our podcast, guys, I'm sorry. That was such a monumental thing. When somebody goes, you changed, I want you to look at them and say, thank you. I've been working really hard to make that change. And I think that we did talk about this. I know I shared that with Chrissy too last week. And that will kind of throw them off. Like, wait, I pissed me in a bad way. And that's what you want to hear. You want to hear that. Yeah, I have changed. I've been working really, really hard to become better. So thank you for noticing that the changes that you see me doing are actually are working. So thank you. And that will change everything. Actually, it'll throw them off. Mm-hmm. They're like, no, that's not what I meant. But they won't tell you that's not what I meant. But it will it actually changes the perspective inside of you of how you're looking at things moving forward in your future, in that narrow road that you're going down. So the next time somebody says you're changed, now, if you've changed because you're smoking crack, don't say thank you. Don't say thank you for that. That's not a good one. But if you're honestly working on yourself to become better, and you may have lost some friendships along the road, or their friendships have changed, or the relationships have changed, thank them for that, because you are trying to raise your standards. It's not a bad thing. People always say, like, oh, you forgot where you came from. Well, I don't want to be where I was yesterday. I'm here today, and I got to make a better difference than I did yesterday. So that's a crutch. Again, going back to the narrow road, the road's going to get more narrow and more narrow, more narrow, and success is going to get harder and harder and harder. Mm-hmm. But Brent and I always say, success is more fun than fun is fun. And we were put on this earth to be great. There was no other option for us. Regardless of your life circumstances, there's no other option for us but to be great. And it's a constant battle at the end of the day, we're never going to be the ultimate greatness. There's only one person that was ultimately great, and that's God. And so anyway, that's what this is.
But we can strive for enlightenment. Going back to the map of consciousness that we talked about 30 episodes ago, we can strive for enlightenment, and we should.
Right. And I think that's great. So I would like to kind of, we're kind of getting into Joe Rogan-ish again. Yeah. And some good stuff too. So I want to kind of clear this up, and I would like to kind of continue this. And I think a lot of people are struggling with this, especially, we're kind of, as you said, we're ending quarter number one, but maybe you're quarter number one of we talked a lot about business today and kind of how we're handling customers, but also apply this to your relationships as well. This is quarter one of your year of your new relationship with your spouse, with your kids, whatever it may be, friendships, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. So evaluate not only your business side to it, evaluate where you are personally, and how are you being an enhancement into that circle of friends you are? Are you contributing to them to help them become better? And are they helping you become better? And if it's not what your 4 questions are, right? Is this serving me?
Is this reasonable? Does it get me to my outcome? Is it consistent with my goal or my values and standards?
Just keep going. So
my final thoughts.
Yeah, I would love it.
Success isn't a destination, it is the road itself. So stay on it, keep going, and as always, go make a damn difference.
Don't give up, guys. There's a lot of greatness left into you. As I said to you, and Brent and I really want you to understand this. You were born to be great. If you're having a hard time, always, reach out to us. Let us know how that we can assist you. We're not, we may not be the fix, but again, if we're not the fix, then we can find somebody that be the fix for you. But don't get stuck in mediocrity. We want you to be better than you were yesterday. And if someone's told you, hey, you've changed, again, not if you're smoking crack, thank them. So until we see, go ahead, man.
I was going to say, and on that, I do have 2 coaching spots open, so reach out.
Yeah,
I'd love to be able to help people more intimately on their road.
Yeah, invest in yourself, guys. Yeah, you pay Brent money to do that, but that's an investment in yourself. So you can invest in an old fashioned or a glass of wine, but is that really investing in yourself? Talk to Brent. Guarantee you're going to have some positive results in that. So.
Yep.
With that being said, until we see each other next week, stay safe, but most of all, God bless. Take care, guys.